Yo, how's it going, everybody? This is Brave Cat here with another earthquake forecast. A little bit of volcanism sprinkled in there. So let's just get started here. Shout out to Dutchsinse for this wonderful map, this wonderful overlay for Earthquake 3D. Just gotta say that. So let's get started here. Let's go ahead and do the Indo-Australian plate. It's always a good place to start because we have all these deep earthquakes here by Fiji, as well as south of Japan, north of Australia, going into Asia. This is where a lot of the activity forms. And oh, speaking of deep earthquakes, I did not actually see this. There is a wow. I mean, this is pretty rare. You don't really see deep earthquakes outside of these regions very often, and they're just kind of everywhere, huh? Like these over here, we can take a look at some of these. Like this one, 180 kilometers, that's not really that deep. I'm talking more like what we see over here. So if let's take the magnitude up a little bit so we can take a look at this 5.5. That's 556 kilometers depth, quite a bit deeper. So that's kind of what we're looking for in terms of what we consider deep earthquakes. And so, yeah, I have yet to see a deep earthquake happen here, even with all the other activity that's been going on here. At least in the, couple months or so that I've been like really paying attention again. So this looks like a pretty rare deep earthquake here, even with the fact that there's been all this activity here. This deep earthquake is actually a little more shocking than some of the really big ones that have happened here. That's how rare that is. Don't mind if you can hear the professional upstairs neighbors. I'm not sure what they do up there. I think it's bowling ball Olympic season or something. Anyways, so let's get on with the Indo-Australian play. We've had some pretty major activity going on, not just the 5.0 activity going all the way across the plate, but these sixes. There's a 6.9 that struck here in the Philippines. Prayers go out to there because it seemed like it was a pretty damaging earthquake. Definitely had some fatalities, lots of damage, and lots of aftershocks. In fact, look at this, right? So there's a 6 down here. All right, looks like there's already been some sort of aftershock in the wake of that. And then take a look at this, the 6.9, which, I mean, that might as well just be a 7. Especially when you look at the aftershocks that have been happening in the 5.0 range. Like a lot of aftershocks, not just a few, but there's like several pretty big aftershocks that happened there. So pretty clear to me that that was most likely a 7, 6.9, whatever, I guess, right? So things just kind of keep moving on into the Pacific Northwest. Now this deep earthquake here means we're going to have to keep another close eye on this area, see if any newer, larger development happens. And that takes us to the US. So if we even go up here, looks like there's some more seismic pressure going through Alaska and just going right down this plate boundary here. So if we go back to this view, we can see the actual plate boundaries. If we take a look at what we've been having for the last week, there's newer, larger activity right at the fault zones here off the coast of Oregon, where things tend to kind of break apart here. Pretty complicated area for the subduction zone. And with that, we've actually been seeing this part of the coast off of Oregon seems to be the quiet zone for tremors at the moment. So if I change the feed to USGS 7-day 0.0 and greater. You can see, well, it's kind of hard to see, but between the chaos going on in California and some of the other tremor stacks that go on north of that, and this will actually, you can better see that the northern tremor swarms here on the tremor map. I'm not sure why these show up here and they don't show up on here, or simply why all of these tremors are showing up down here and they do not show up on this map. I really don't actually know the technicalities on this tremor map here, and you can even go to this little catalog update that goes into some detail of what this is about. Really, the first sentence here says tremor detection is an evolving science without any established standards. So, honestly, my guess is probably as good as theirs in terms of what we're actually looking at. So let's just get this ready here. We'll go into this a little bit more later. Actually, I'll just go into it now because it's pretty relevant. So what we've been seeing day by day is literally all the tremors showing up on this map have been at the very northern border of the United States into Canada. This is where the majority of the pressure seems to be coming in, and I think that's why we're seeing this area right here breaking so hard. Okay, that's the last 7 days of tremors. That's too much. That's why we've been seeing that there, is because we have all the tremors here indicating pressure, all the tremors in the north side indicating pressure, and then we have the quiet zone is the spot that's going to break because it's not releasing pressure. So let's take a look at the Canadian feed and kind of compare that to what we see on the tremor map. Yeah, let's go with the 0.0 and greater feed for Canada. Yeah, so we see a lot of the same stuff. We can bring the magnitude up. Let's go with the last 4 or 5 days. And so yeah, we've been seeing lots of 3s, 4s, tremor swarms. A lot of the same kinds of activity there, so that kind of helps put the pieces together. So if we go back to this, let's just go back a couple more days here. Actually, if we just bring it to, let's just say the 22nd going into today, then that'll give us a pretty good idea of what's been going on tremor-wise. It's at least on terms of the tremor map here, it's all been focused on the north side. And even though you don't see anything down here, well, there's plenty of activity in California, Southern California, based on what we see here. So it's a little bit annoying that we can't really get all this data in one spot where it all just makes sense. But if we look through all the different sets of data that we have access to, you can kind of slowly put the picture together. So definitely eyes open for the West Coast. Have a plan, be prepared. There's been just obviously so much going on here. Let's take a look back at the regular USGS feed, and yeah, again, we've had lots of numerous deep earthquakes, and just the activity going on in the Indo-Australian and the Pacific is just, it's pretty wild, 5s and 6s, even bigger. Of course, the Ring of Fire, the volcanoes. If we go to here, the Smithsonian seems to have gotten a pretty good update yesterday. It says updates as of 19th of September, but some of these little excerpts here have updates going into the 29th, so this is pretty recent. So we got Sabancaya from Peru, this Russian volcano, plenty of others. This one from Italy, which I wish I could get the Italian feed working. We'll be going over Europe here shortly. I just want to get to these volcanoes first. So a couple new ones popped up, mostly just these two. They have their own little descriptions. This one seems fairly heavy activity, pretty consistent. And then the other one I've been looking into is the one at the very bottom. Yes, sir, or however you say that in Vanuatu. It's the longest running volcano on this whole list. You know, approximately 800 years or so of eruption. And you can go to that as well. It's got a little bit of history. And basically, I mean, there's different dating methods with like the sulfur isotopes and whatnot. And basically what it says is reported since it was seen by Captain Cook in 1774. And then from there they did, you know, radiocarbon dates, different geological dating methods and whatnot to really see how long it's been going roughly. So it could be longer than that, could be shorter, but that's kind of the rough estimate there. And this one's interesting. I have it on Google Maps here. If we go to Mount Yasur, it's a pretty big volcano. I mean, you just look at this. This is a island in the Vanuatu region, right here by Australia. And, you know, this island's pretty big. I mean, this is pretty sure that even this island right here is probably bigger than the Hawaiian Islands. And this crater, I mean, look at this thing. You can even see on the satellite, you can see all these hot spots and all these magma chambers within the volcano. Really big crater, you know. I couldn't imagine what this would be if it fully blew up. But so that one's active. We take a look at Sabancaya. It's a pretty interesting one over here in Peru. And this whole mountain range is honestly fascinating. And this whole mountain range is full of very similar volcanoes and different geologies. But you take a look at this one just based on the satellite image is clearly active. You can see the smoke and ash plumes. And it looks kind of weird on the satellite imagery because it's like putting a 3D concept onto a 2D image, but then it's also stretched to be three-dimensional again. So you have the ash cloud basically tattooed onto the mountainside, and then it looks like this is the shadow from the ash plume also tattooed onto the mountain. It's kind of a weird way that Google Images works, but that's what we're looking at there. Pretty cool mountain range. And then here is the Russian Peninsula, where we've been seeing most of the activity going on. And so you have these two craters right next to each other. That's pretty gnarly looking. I mean, it even looks like there's a second volcano inside of this crater with another little crater. Like, just volcanoes within volcanoes. Wow, you even got like a whole thing of like sulfuric water or something. It's a pretty intense looking volcano there, and there's more than one. As you can see, there's several here, but this appears to be the most currently active one. So yeah, if you kind of look at this, right, you have this whole chain of volcanoes and mountain ranges. Like, look at that. And that's basically what we see happening right here along the plate boundary that stretches across that whole area, with all this stuff going on. Okay, let's go on to Europe. I want to kind of start to wrap this up a little bit if I can. So I can't get the Italian feed to work, and the other European feeds can be kind of useless sometimes. Oh, looks like that one didn't even work. Alright, well, looks like the European feed's broke again. I guess I'm gonna have to, I don't know, reinstall the entire program again, even though I've already done that several times now. Let's see if we can get anything to work here. What about the UK feed? Nope, doesn't look like we got that. Of course, right? I mean, I was just looking at this earlier again, so I'm not even going to really waste my breath. Looks like the European feed is not working. We got Turkey. All right, you know, this will be good enough. This will give you a good idea of the pressure that's been incoming to this region. And Turkey seems to be the most earthquake-prone area in all of Europe. As you can see, there's some activity I haven't even seen yet. There's a 5.3 that struck. That's pretty significant. Let's take a look at that on here. Or maybe not, maybe not. Maybe this maybe this website feels like some sort of scam. Okay. Interesting. So you got a swarm up here. Here's Western Turkey. Here's Eastern Turkey. So for reference, if we go take a look at Göbekli Tepe, pretty interesting point of interest within Turkey. So just kind of memorize where that is. It's kind of like right where the armpit here is with Cyprus, and you just kind of go straight east, slightly northeast. So just kind of see, I don't know, maybe is there anything going on there? No, looks like this is about where that is. If I could zoom in on it perfectly, that would be pretty astonishing. Somewhere around there. So no, there's no earthquakes going on around Göbekli Tepe. That's a good sign, I guess. Everything's happening north and west of it. But definitely significant activity going on here. And I'd imagine some of these tremor swarms, you're going to see similar things going into Europe. Can we get anything? Germany feed. Okay, we got Germany last 20 earthquakes, 4.0 and greater. Cool. Not very useful though. Can't get the UK feed. Look through Canada. Okay, let's see if the Italy feed works now that everything else is broken. Nope. So yeah, it's actually really hard to see what's going on in Europe. At least it seems like we should be able to see any significant activity, even through the USGS. But it is kind of unfortunate we can't even really look into things over there. But I guess we get the general idea. So let's leave it off here with the Australian feed. Looks like we've had pretty minor activity, at least from what's been reported. But of course we have the entire plate being absolutely surrounded by 5.0 activity. And especially when you look at it here, I mean, these are pretty equidistant earthquakes here of very similar magnitude. 5.1, 5.1, 5.6, 5.7, as it leads into this larger activity here. So we'll keep an eye on things. We'll see how it progresses for these next week. So anyways, that'll conclude this little update. Yep, hope y'all having a good one, and I'll catch you all next time.